Back at it, 100% hockey. Hope everybody's enjoying the podcast throughout the summer as we continue to truck along. John Shannon, Iron Fist, making sure that we are going in the right direction. Kyle Davidson, general manager of the Chicago Blackhawks, is going to join us today.
People still like to talk hockey in the summertime. Mm-hmm. It's one of the reasons why we keep the podcast going.
Had a couple of coaches reach out. They were traveling across the country back to their various destinations, and they had downloaded some episodes and were listening to it.
Yeah, good. And then it said, "You're full of shit," and John's brilliant.
No. One actually said, "I didn't know you as Millard," because they listened to the Eddie Olczyk one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
actually, there were some viewer comments about that too, and I just ignore them because I love nicknames so much. So. By the way, you're back in Vegas?
Yeah.
And
120 yesterday in my car. 120 on the dashboard.
So what's that?
The
40,
rear,
44?
Rear view mirror light.
44, 45 Celsius?
Yeah. But it's dry, so it's okay.
Yeah. You have nosebleeds for the whole day. Are you kidding me? It's unbelievable.
The afternoon supper time walks with the dog are on the shelf for a little bit. But it does let you get caught up in some things. Under the radar transaction in the National Hockey League. All right. Andy O'Brien signs with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Fill people in on the significance of Andy O'Brien joining Toronto.
Well, when you look at personal trainers, when you look at guys that have been a behind the scenes factor in getting players to the NHL fitness levels, there are very few guys on that list. Gary Roberts obviously is on that list, and it seems anybody in the Maritimes. Andy O'Brien's the big dog in doing that. Nate McKinnon, Sidney Crosby have long been advocates of Andy O'Brien's, and to have O'Brien join the Maple Leafs in some manner is another positive move by John Chayka and his staff.
It's not just a afterthought mention kind of thing. I think it's an influential acquisition.
Well, and you do know that somebody will try to connect the dots and then Sid's coming to Toronto. You do know that. That's somebody's going to say that. No, I'm suggesting somebody else will. We're not suggesting that.
We are?
No, we're not.
Are we at the clicks?
At the same time, what? No, we're not fishing for that stuff. Are you kidding me? But at the same time, he runs a great program, and he prepares players well. And if that can have a positive influence on this hockey club in Toronto, then that's a good thing.
Here's the other thing that I heard. Because things are quiet on the Detroit front. You reported last week, got a lot of play, that the Detroit Red Wings replacing Steve Yzerman as general manager may not happen for a while, potentially into September. They also have the Dylan Larkin situation hanging over their heads. We know that Florida, Minnesota, and Vegas were on Larkin's list. Was expanded by one to Dallas. I was told that Dallas very much remains pursuing Dylan Larkin for next year.
Wow. He's not even finished.
No, you're right.
Well, Jim Neal has always been aggressive. Jim Neal is always trying to improve his hockey club. And if there's a role that Larkin can play, then that does make a ton of sense. Remember, even though neither came to fruition, Neal was, he allowed Jason Robertson to talk to Seattle. They had a deal in place that would have cost Seattle 3 first-round picks if Robertson had signed the $15 million deal there. And remember, he tried to get Zach Werenski, and Zach Werenski turned down the trade to Dallas because Werenski has control. So it's not as if Jim Neal is sitting idle this summer and talking about certain situations to try to improve a team that has been really good but not good enough to get to the Stanley Cup final.
I don't take Florida, Vegas, or Minnesota out of the mix by any means, but from a salary cap point of view, Dallas has a bit more of an advantage.
Yep, there's no doubt about that. And I mean, let's face it, we're at a time where, you know, everybody is looking with wide eyes that the cap is growing. And say what you want about Larkin's ability as a player, because he's a good player, but he's also got a great contract. And that's the thing that attracts most teams to a situation like that.
Mm-hmm. What's more important, great contract or good player?
Oh, for me,
yeah,
good player. Good player, because if you can have a guy with a good contract, but 2 years from now, if you haven't won, you're not going to be there to enjoy the good contract. So, you know, you better get it done.
A couple of teams that I'm keeping an eye on for next year. Clubs like the New Jersey Devils. So what are they going to be? Chicago Blackhawks kind of fall into that mix. Are they ready to take the next step? We'll find out more on that when Kyle Davidson, the general manager, joins us. Bedard, Kane, Byram, and a couple of other fun facts next on 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon.
Face Off Inside the NHL returns, taking you deeper behind the scenes than ever before. See it all from the star-studded Four Nations Face Off tournament.
Us against the world, boys.
To the adrenaline of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
I'm scared of you guys.
With candid interviews and backstage access, experience the sacrifice, the rivalries, and the determination that define NHL greatness.
Just when I thought last year couldn't be topped, here we are.
A new season of Face Off Inside the NHL. Watch now only on Prime Video.
It's kind of nice when you can just push John Shannon to the side and Kyle Davis and I just have a chat about friends and people that we love in the hockey community, and John's just left there as an observer.
I know Alec Martinez. I know Alec Martinez. What are you guys talking about?
We're just talking
about how great of a guy Marty is.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a mutual admiration society, and John's there like, I'm just left out.
Well, to that point, then, Kyle, and this is something you've done with your Hawks club the last few times, is you brought in veteran guys to help out the youngsters. What did a guy like Alec Martinez do for your squad?
Yeah, well, you know, I think Marty's a guy that he's been around the game, right? He knows what it takes to win in this league. He knows how you need to operate in terms of being a professional, taking care of your body. I just think the road he's traveled. He worked for everything that he got, and even with some kind of health hurdles over the back part of his career there, like I think that's just some more display of how to fight through adversity, how to get your body and do whatever it takes to compete at the highest level every night. And I just think the way he attacked every day, and he was only here for a year, but I just feel like him and a lot of these guys that did pass through, maybe their stints weren't too long with us over the last couple of years. The impact's going to be felt for a long time, and they left impressions on a lot of our young guys, and just a credit to the people that they are, and specifically that Alec Martinez is. I think we're a better organization for having him here for the time that he was.
He does a bulk of his broadcast work with me here in Vegas, but he has touched with the Chicago Blackhawks. Have you watched him at all? Are you impressed? What do you think he has to work on?
I don't know. I think he's got it down. He's getting the social media thing going too.
Yeah.
He's doing his own videos, like in-depth breakdowns, and I think it's great. I think it's awesome. His perspective, what he sees is it's a really unique take and a very informed take, and just the little points and little tidbits he can give on what's actually, like, just little things that, like, what's actually really, really hard in the NHL. It doesn't necessarily look difficult to the eye, or certain reads or certain plays that are like a high degree of difficulty. I think that's a really unique perspective. It's
something nobody does in our game, right? Like nobody's doing that.
No, I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome, and he can just he knows, he's been there. He's been with some of these guys recently, and so it's a really cool perspective to get. And I think even over the next couple of years, as speaking specifically to the Blackhawks, but he can, talk through like where growth in certain guys' games are and where, maybe they would have done something differently in the past, but maturity and experience has led them to something new. So I think, his being in the game so recently gives him a really unique vantage point on what's going on out there. So I love it.
We're going to send him an invoice for this propaganda. So it's
right? No kidding. Man, build him a new dock up northern Michigan there.
Exactly.
There you go. So you talked about growth of the young guys. Where is that growth with the Bedards and the Nazars and I shouldn't forget Frundell, even though he just played a handful of games at the end of the season.
Yeah. I really believe we saw that growth in Connor's game last year before his injury. I thought he was playing at an elite level. And a lot of times with these young players, it just takes time to get comfortable in the game, making decisions and even just something as simple as being in every rink, not having all these firsts, right? And, you've been into a certain rink, you've been to Vegas, where you warm up, where the guys go to play sewer ball or whatever it is, there's just a level of comfort that comes in living through this a couple times. And so I think Connor experienced that. It showed in his play, and that's what we're looking for in some of these other young guys. And they have to pass through the league, a couple times, and certainly some of them have, and you're seeing the growth. And then we've got a lot of young, talented guys. You mentioned Anton Frundell specifically, he played a handful of games right at the end of the year. But he's got to go through. He's got to experience that travel, what it's like to get into a new city late at night, and those time changes and the grind of the season. And he'll get there. He'll learn it. He's a super talented kid. But that's the one thing we fall back on is the talent is there. It's just time for experience, time for that game to slow down for them, and it's going to come, and it's probably going to come here in short order. So we're really excited about where they're at and where the group's going to head.
Okay, so this summer, which happened first? You saw the video of Connor getting hurt in Vancouver or getting the phone call?
Oh man, it was. I think I got a text first, from someone else. Like, hey, did you see this video? I think I was I was probably with my kids having dolls thrown at me or something and in the playpen, and then get a text and I'm like, what's that? And so you start making some calls and no, it's real. So, then you pivot and start someone else, maybe mom has to jump into the playpen and you're called to action there. So, it was definitely, I was made aware of a video that was circulating. And so, and then found out shortly after he was on the way to the doctor. So.
And can you walk us through those few hours?
It was honestly, it was a ton of just wait and see. He subsequently had to wait pretty long I found out after he had to wait pretty long in a waiting room. We're trying to get answers and trying to get a hold of him. And cause it's not, when they're training, sometimes sometimes it's with buddies, and it's not like you're in an NHL facility with NHL medical staff right there to help you and bring you up to see someone. And so it was a little bit of a lag time before we really understood what we were dealing with. We had an idea pretty early that, there was going to be some, imaging and some significant recovery time, but you don't know what exactly you're dealing with. And so the next day was when we really kicked into high gear with getting that imaging first thing and knowing what we're dealing with. And, but then, subsequently you have to go through second opinions, and make sure you're getting all the information from all the proper subject matter experts. And so, but those couple hours were, it's like, okay, I got to call some people and let them know what's going on, that this is going around, and make sure that people are in the loop and the necessary people that need to be in contact with Connor are. And so it was more so coordination, that evening, and then setting things up for the next morning.
How quickly was he back in Chicago?
He never came back to Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah, no, we got imaging out there in Vancouver. And then that gets passed to the people in Chicago. And then he went and got a second opinion, from a great doctor out in Vail, out in Colorado, and so someone that we have a great deal of trust and our medical staff has a good relationship with, and so that was in coordination with them, and so there was no real need for him to get to Chicago, and had the surgery out in Colorado actually, and so he never actually had to come to Colorado. We went to Colorado to see him.
Or to me, that's unusual.
Chicago, sorry.
Yeah, to me that's unusual, but it sounds like you guys were totally on board with that.
Yeah, well, it's just like it's not a close flight either, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to toss him on a. We were able to get eyes and stuff on him. We just met him elsewhere, rather than bringing him in all the way over to Chicago and then back over to Colorado. It was just less travel for him. So
specifically, do you have a sort of return to play window?
No, like right now it's probably too early. I think the initial timeline was that 4-month timeline. So I think we'll probably get a better handle on where he's at later in the month or as we get into September in training camp, and then really determine, how rapidly the shoulder responds after that. But we're pretty confident that he's going to be right in that timeline and not exceed it by
Are we looking November then? Would October be too optimistic?
I guess probably don't really have that information yet. I think 4 months would put him right around that October, November. So give or take a little while, but probably, early November is probably realistic based on when everything was done.
I'm trying to get my head around it because camps are starting early and the season's starting early.
Yeah.
So what's the new 4-month window? That's where I'm going with that.
Yeah, no, it's probably right around that start of November. I think is probably the realistic timeline based on the initial prognosis.
So which caused you more concern, Connor's injury or the Karlsson offer sheet?
Yeah, they both came pretty quick. They both came, I think, in about 48 hours. I want to say, I think my head was spinning there for a little bit. Probably a little bit of both. Just the uncertainty of it, right? You do everything you can to deal in a world of controllables and putting guardrails on things, and then an injury that you don't really have an answer to, and a changing cap landscape that you also do not have an answer for, and where that's going and what's going on in the league. They're equally as uncertain, and so it was a little bit of it was quite the couple days or a week or whatever it was to manage through that and try and get clarity on what everything meant. I think for us, the first priority above all was let's get Connor obviously the care and the access he needs to the right medical personnel, and so that took precedent over making sure that we were worrying about a contract or anything like that. Get the player healthy, get him on a good path, and then circle back. So but it was certainly a little stretch we went through for sure.
So had you had plenty of discussion with Connor and his people by that time, or so that there wasn't near the, oh my goodness, we're going to have to up our offer?
Well, we had conversation at that. We certainly had conversation, but you don't know when that offer sheet comes in, you don't know how that impacts things, right? Again, at least for this summer, we'll see how it impacts things moving forward. But certainly you have to contend with the fact that the world may have shifted under your feet. You can't not have some, I don't know if concern is the right word, but you can't have, you can't be oblivious to it. You can't just ignore it. I didn't know how it was going to impact things, to be honest. And so you just have to keep those conversations going and feel it out and feel out where, the player is and how they interpret things, how his representatives interpret things, and so you just kind of work through it, but we did have to deal with this new little hurdle that we had with the injury. And then we got back to discussions. And it was, but again, it was a little, it was unforeseen. And so something we had to work through together.
I'd be naive to think that from the player side of it, that it wouldn't impact the negotiations. How much influence did the offer sheet play and lead to a new number?
Honestly, in the end, I don't. It's probably a question for the player more than us, because from our perspective, we're fine not reacting to it, but the player and the representatives are the one that have to more so react and dictate what that means from their stance. But I don't know if it had a huge impact. Again, I think it's something we had to consider. We had to acknowledge, and potentially react to, but it felt like we had a player in Connor that understood where he felt the value was, and where the market, he should be placed in the market. And then when that came out, he very, very easily could have changed that position. But I think he made the comment that he feels respected where he's at. He doesn't need to change anything. He's happy for Leo that got what he got, but that didn't necessarily come into play for him. And so I think we're really appreciative of that. We're very, very lucky to have someone that sees it that way and is comfortable where he's at, and not having to change what he believes, because I think he's very strong in his belief in what he is and what he needs and what he requires. And for us, we're appreciative that didn't change materially from where we started and where he had placed himself initially. So we're really excited about it. So
did the injury have any effect?
It didn't. No impact at all. Other, I say the only impact it had was delaying those couple conversations we had set up while we kind of shifted gears to coordinate with his representatives to get access to care out in Vancouver. So, but it didn't impact anything. The injury and the potential surgery were things that we have, the utmost confidence are would be remedied and wouldn't have any bearing on our commitment. So
we've got a second course coming up with Kyle Davidson. We'll come back with 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon right after this.
With the NHL app, you can listen to every NHL game right from your phone. And with home and away broadcast feeds, you choose your way to listen.
And he scores!
Whether you're at work, at the gym, or stuck in traffic, the NHL app puts you right in the action all season long. Every team, every game, everywhere you go. Download the NHL app and never miss a moment.
You're hanging out in Edmonton at the Hlinka Gretzky. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I just got here, so I haven't seen a ton yet. Right now I'm looking out my hotel. Beautiful day here in Edmonton, but we've got 4 games. Pardon?
Little brisk?
It's a little more brisk than Chicago. That's for sure. But no, it's been good. It's good to get back in the rink. You miss it pretty quickly after the season wraps, and even you get a little taste of it, watching playoffs on TV. But being back in the rinks and with all the scouts and with your group is fun. It's awesome.
Just on that point, every time we talk about the Blackhawks, your name gets mentioned and Norm McIver's name gets mentioned. What does Norm mean to you, and what's his influence on this club?
Yeah, Norm's impact is, for myself is invaluable. He's kind of my right-hand man. He's got a lot of, I think it's important to have varied experience in your front office, and he certainly has a viewpoint and an experience base that is different than mine. Right? He's played, he's been behind the bench. He's been in development. He's been in management. And so it's his viewpoint and the way he sees the game and is it's just great counsel for myself. And I think the thing above everything that I appreciate about Norm is that he's as loyal as they come. He's there to help. He's there to do what's best for the team and just make sure that we're making the right decisions. And I trust him 100%, and he's got a very, very strong passion for making sure that we get this right. And honestly, when it comes to watching hockey players and that kind of scouting eye, there's no one out there I trust more.
Do you remind him that you watched him? Do you remind him that you watched him as a 6-year-old when he was playing for the Senators?
We were trying to figure out. So the Senators came through Sudbury at one point during like the exhibition, series they would do, and I want to say they played the Washington Capitals, and we're trying to figure out if he played in that game, and I don't think we've ever been able to kind of triangulate if he was in that game or not. But yeah, he certainly would have been. He would have been playing for the Sens when I was pretty young. So,
where are you on the journey to getting this right?
I think we're closing in on a new step here where we kind of bump up into that, playoff contention, playoff team situation. We'll see how the start of the season goes. I certainly expect that we should be a team that's pushing for a spot this season. I'm extremely bullish on our additions with Bo Byram and then Kane are coming back, as well as just the natural inherent growth of our young players. My stance has always been that the biggest leap is going to come when all these young guys take a collective step rather than one player coming in. And we're right on the precipice of that happening. I think we're really close to a lot of guys jumping forward with the additions that we made from externally and adding some good vets in Cole Smith and Ian Cole. And so, we're pushing. I think we're gonna see another step this year. And we did see a step early on last year until we, unfortunately ran into a little bit of injury trouble with Connor and Frankie Nazar in December. They both kind of went out at the same time, and that was pretty tough for a group that maybe didn't have the depth required to weather that storm. I think, especially at the center position at the time. So no, really excited about where we're headed. I think we're close to really pushing into that next level that we hoped, and it's going to be on the backs of these young guys. And we're excited to get going. I wish camp was next week. Well, actually I don't, because we need Connor to recover a little bit more, but from an excitement standpoint, I wish it was next week.
So the Patrick Kane situation, from the time his name came up in your discussions in your senior management to the signing, how long was that?
Well, I want to say, you start your planning obviously in May and June. And so we started kind of like, talking about it, and it's such a delicate one, right? You don't want to, because of everything he means to the fans of Chicago and the organization and the city. And you saw the reaction, how much gravity he holds within the city and the hockey landscape. But you discuss it, and you want to be very intentional and purposeful about making sure that if we do want to go down this road, we want to go all in. We don't want to just like, hey, maybe let's see. We wanted to take our time with it, discuss it with management, discuss it with the coaching staff. Like, what's the vision here? Where do we see things? How does it play out? Where does he fit? And make sure everyone's on board. Because the last thing that we want is some mixed messaging or mixed opinions on where we saw it. I was pretty convinced that the time was right early on, but you have time, and so you don't want to jump to that conclusion. You also don't know if he's going to get to free agency. And so it started in May and June, and then we were pretty convinced that that was a path we wanted to go down again. We felt our young players had established themselves to the point, certainly our forwards, to the point that, bringing in someone of his, or bringing back someone of his profile and status was something we were comfortable with. Specifically, Connor was ready to have that, around and back in the room, and thought that it could really, not only help the team, but, help elevate his game. And so, yeah, when July 1st came around, we kind of, pushed the chips all in. We called Danny Wirtz in out of the bullpen to give Kaner a shout, and then follow up, very shortly after with myself and Blash to kind of give the perspective and the plan and what it all looked like. And then it was, ball was in his court after that.
Just you said something there. So would you have talked to Connor Bedard about, we're thinking of signing Patrick Kane?
Yes. Yep. No, I wanted to make sure that, he was comfortable with it. And, it's not just a Kaner thing. There's a lot of different things that come across my plate, trade free agents that you want to involve him. Connor's the future of the present and future of this organization. He deserves to have, some a seat at the table. I would say, it's, I'm the decision maker in all this, but his perspective is important to me. And so, I certainly brought Patrick up as an option for us and what his thoughts were. And he almost jumped through the phone. He was really excited about it.
What are your expectations for Patrick then?
Yeah, well, I think he's going to bring a ton of experience and off the ice, and just perspective on what it means to be a Blackhawk, win in this city. But on the ice, we think he's going to be an offensive catalyst for us. We think he's going to play a very meaningful role on the power play and in the top six. And so, I think it's pretty simple, to be honest. Offense is something that we wanted to take a step in that area. We think obviously the continued maturation of our young players is going to help in that. But look, that's his bread and butter. He's an offensive he's an offensive player, and so bringing that into the group and onto the power play is something that certainly is going to help. I don't, in terms of points or what that means, I'm not too sure, but I think he's gonna help, provide some extra scoring and leadership for our group. I'm very, very confident that he's gonna be able to bring that.
I've said this to John. I don't remember a player being part of the rebuild and the teardown with the same team like right. Patrick has.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, Kaner's he's a special cool. guy, right? It's very cool. It's very, very good. If again, it was really, really tough, and it didn't, honestly, over the years, it didn't get any easier as I thought about him on another team. It felt so unnatural. But we at the time, I think it was something we felt we needed to do. We were in a different spot. I think he's a winner. He wants to win. He's, you look at all the highlights, a lot of those, I'd say the majority of those highlights and those things that will get played for the next 20, 30 years that he's done, were in major games, and so he deserved an opportunity to try and play in those games. Now, it was something that I hoped we would be in a position to potentially, bring him back and reunite him, with the Blackhawks and Blackhawks fans. But I didn't know where our group would be if it was gonna, our paths would cross. And I'm just really, really excited that they did. It is very unique and a very cool thing that, we did what we did with the start of the rebuild. We're kind of coming out the other side of it, and he can again provide some of that, hockey and also just, worldly experience to our group.
Well, the reality is he's healthier now than when he left you.
100%.
When you think of that, when that hip issue, that got remedied, and he's much better off. And I must say, you must have been reminded that night at United Center when he came back with the Red Wings and did everything that night, including was it a shootout goal or a penalty
No, it was
shot?
overtime goal. So I remember he got the puck just after the red line in all alone. I'm gonna go get my coat. I know where this is going. Like it's over. Yeah, I know that's just what he does. It's done. I don't even know if I watched him cross the blue line. Let's head out. It's all done. So, that's what he does. He is a big time player. He's made for those big moments. He wants it. And that is something that, is going to be really exciting for our young players to be around.
Okay. So Kane's back. What about Taves?
I think Jonathan's retired. So, I think he's
but he admitted he was jealous. He admitted he was jealous of Patrick re-signing with the Blackhawks.
I'm sure lots of guys. You can ask Sharpie or Siebes or any of those guys too. They're jealous as well. But I think we're really excited that Jonathan was able to get healthy enough to come back, and an experience to play in his hometown is certainly a really unique one, and something that not a lot of players get to do. And so, but first and foremost, that he got healthy enough to return and kind of go out on his own terms, which is that's what you want to see from a player that's done so much for the game.
Would you like to have a 1-day contract with Taves?
Yeah, I think that's something that there's nothing planned or anything. I don't even know if discussions have come to that point, but I just think back to we did it for Marian Hossa, and it was a really cool opportunity for Marian to come back and kind of wrap things up, put a little bow on it. So I don't know if that's in the works right now, but I'm sure we'll get internally and see if that's something that he's open to. But in the end, you want to be able to pay back those club legends and people that have done so much for the city, and allow the fans to show their appreciation too. So I think those opportunities are always something you're interested in.
So the last time we had you on, we talked about your surgery. You had taken some time during one of the breaks to actually have heart surgery, correct?
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember when the last time we chatted was it last year?
Yeah, beginning of the season. But you had was during one of the I think was it during Four Nations, during the Four Nations.
Yeah. So yeah, I had my heart is like an old car. Like it feels like I'm losing track of all the different tune-ups I'm getting. But yes, I did get a procedure up at the Mayo Clinic during Four Nations break.
Have you had other stuff since then?
Not since then, no.
Okay,
no.
Good.
No.
But your wife was having a baby at the same time too. This at that point when we had you on too.
So when I found out I was going to need the procedure, I needed a new pulmonary valve. I found that out in probably about October, November, and our daughter was fairly young, but yeah, she was just kind of born. So yeah, it was. It never happens in a good time. Like every time I've found out something's going on, I think my wife's been pregnant. So I don't know if it's the fact that we're gonna have another kid that is tipping me over the edge.
Yeah.
But so I told my wife, that's it. We're done. Two's good. Like no more kids, no more heart procedures. Like I think we're set. So yeah.
Well, I got to tell you. Oh, go ahead, Daren. Sorry.
No, I was going to go hockey, so finish your thought there.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, Kyle's been so good with his time all the time, because even when I first texted Kyle last week about coming on, it was before the Kane deal was announced. But to me, I was more following up on the Bedard stuff. And next thing you know, Kyle's returning my text, and we were able to set it up. So Kyle's always been good with his time with us. That's my point.
Yeah, I think you texted me right around like like live when I was finding out that Kaner was coming back. So
well,
it was just like
text from me or Brisson. I don't care. You know, I mean,
right? Yeah.
We buried the lead a little bit, but what was the process with Bo Byram?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think back. So it feels like so much has happened since it feels like we traded for and signed Bo about 3 years ago at this point. So it probably showed initial interest around the combine, just kind of let Buffalo know that, hey, if he ever comes available, I know, you want to keep him, but if it ever something comes where you are going to look to make a change, like just let me know. And so I think, I can't remember when it was, but later in June, Jarmo made it known that he was going to listen, and so we started ramping things up from there, try and come out of the gate pretty aggressive with our interest. And then things really heated up the day that it got done. I think they had some other teams potentially jumping into the mix. And so that just precipitated the action to get moving and kind of get a resolution there. So
how important was it to add a player?
Oh, I think for sure. Like, again, we love Bo, and we've held him in such high regard for years now. And so adding someone like that to our group is, I think, a really important thing, to continue to push this thing forward. But it honestly, we thread the needle on a number of different objectives there, player, age, and then timing. And so it was really, it checked a number of boxes for us that we really wanted to accomplish. And then to have him be there for a while. Like we weren't gonna, go down that road with a player if we didn't know that we could have them here for a while. I wouldn't say we're at a point where we want to be, blowing our brains out from an asset perspective for, a 1 year player. So we wanted to make sure that we got someone that not only was going to be here for a long time, but was, we believe has growth left in their game to continue to improve. And certainly Bo fits that. We feel that the opportunity with us is going to allow him to grow his game and grow his profile. But, so from a hockey perspective, it made sense. And then when I got to meet him for the first time and he was stopped in our facility to kind of, drop in and meet some people, I was even more excited. Just the way he carries himself, he's got a gravitas to him that is really going to be good for not only our group, but our young defensemen. He's a confident guy in a really good way. He's got some serious swagger to him. And so I think he's going to be a great fit and a great influence on our group, even though he's only, in his mid-20s. He's not an old guy at all. He's still young in his career. And so to have that kind of, that mentality and that kind of presence is impressive and exciting.
But he's pure swag. You're right.
Totally. He walks in I was saying, he walked into our kind of like players lounge kitchen for the first time. And just the way he's standing there and talking to people, I felt like he's been with the team for 15 years. It's like, this guy he's comfortable. He's already been in that room in some respect. Right. Like, so that, but just that presence and that confidence is going to rub off on everyone. And so it's a really good thing to bring into your room for sure.
Before we let you go, Jeff Blashill was your coach for the first year last year. What do you know about Jeff now that you didn't know about him when you hired him?
Yeah, well, you never know how you want to, especially in the coaching searches, you want to have a good dynamic and a good feel that you're going to be able to work well together, and that relationship will continue to grow and be a positive one. And but so I had a good confidence that was going to happen. I was really happy with how well we work together, how good he is to work with, his perspective on the team and on the game. But just the one thing that really impressed me was how detailed he is, how how he wants to keep learning and grinding at what can we do to get better? What can I do to get better? Accessing the resources that we have within even like our strategy and analytics department, like grinding out, even things like our player evaluation models have improved because of Blash's questions and wanting to understand what the numbers are saying, and his dedication to one-on-one communication and video is second to none. And so I just think the detail and the depth of his work ethic is something that that you don't know until you get into the weeds with someone, and he exceeded all my expectations there. And then I just think he's got a great mind for the game, and a great perspective on relationships. And so it was from my point of view, I couldn't be more confident that we made a really, really good decision last spring, or 2 springs ago.
Another guy in the Alec Martinez hockey community. So
that's
it
right.
Comes no surprise.
I didn't even know that until after we hired him.
Yeah.
I got a very nice message from Marty after we made the Blash hire, and I think maybe we would have gotten over the finish line a little quicker if I knew that connection and he put the sales pitch on me. But no, I think it just speaks to the fact this is a relationship business. Good people attract other good people, and certainly they both fit in that category. And so doesn't shock me that there's a relationship and mutual respect there.
Go enjoy the hockey.
Love it. Thanks, guys.
Buddy. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
There's Kyle Davidson. We'll be back with more on 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon.
NHL TV is now on DAZN. Hockey lives here.
Here we go.
Watch every game from every team. The best players in the world. And the coldest plays on ice. Watch up to 4 games at once for the ultimate NHL experience. Sign up now at DAZN.
I like our catch-ups with Kyle.
Yeah, he's been a good friend of the show for a while, and I hate you saying that, friend of the show.
I can't believe you just said that.
I know.
If you could just do me a favor, can you clip that and put it out as a meme?
Yeah.
Thank you, Hugh.
I hate that. Yes, Kyle has been very good to us.
Month.
Yeah. I wonder what his nickname is.
That's the quote of the offseason right there. KD. Of course it's KD.
See, that would only mean something in Canada.
No.
Well, no,
we have it down
you
here.
You don't call it KD in the United States. You call it macaroni and cheese.
Point. Yeah,
it's KD in Canada.
That's a good point.
And I can't believe he doesn't have an endorsement deal in Sudbury. So. By the way, one thing.
It doesn't matter what you're going to say now. I'm not hearing it after friend of the show.
I know. As soon as I said it, I knew what I had done. Drives me nuts. Oh gosh! Every once in a while, I fall into my own traps. The one thing we didn't mention was yes, the Blackhawks can get closer to the playoffs next year, and they better. But they're in the toughest division. When you look at how different, and people are going to yell at the Atlantic, but when you look at what that Central Division is with Dallas, and Colorado and Minnesota and, Chris McFarland, what he's doing in Nashville and Winnipeg. Oh my goodness gracious. It is going to be,
I don't think there's an easy division, to be honest, John. I can sell you on the Pacific. I can sell you on the Metro. It's difficult all the way across.
There are gaps though, and albeit the gaps are narrowing in the Pacific and in the Metropolitan for competition. The other two are, there's a boatload of teams, mm-hmm. And not everybody. It's always going to be the issue, and 16 of 32 make the playoffs. And that then every once in a while we're going to start hearing, well, maybe we should have a play-in because there are so many good teams.
I think we're there already.
I just think that it makes post All-Star / post Olympics.
You need more teams to be involved, for fans to be engaged, to have that.
You want more teams? We'll get you more
experience.
teams. We'll get you more teams.
Well, that's what I mean. We need more teams to be involved in the playoffs, to have that experience for the fan bases.
Yeah,
you shouldn't go 15 years without being in the playoffs, or 10 years without being in the playoffs. I'll give you 7, 8, but that 7's the max.
Would you pick that number just out of your hat, or what?
No, I'm thinking from a fan point of view. You shouldn't have to go more than 7 years without seeing your team in the playoffs.
So what are you telling the people in Detroit?
That we need more teams in the playoffs to get them in, because it's not happening with 16. I'm trying to help them out here. If it's not going to happen on their end, I'll do it on mine.
Yeah, when you just said more teams, I just figured you were talking about expansion again.
No. I'm talking instead of 16 teams in the playoffs, 20 teams in the playoffs.
Oh, my head hurts. Can't have 20 teams.
A shout out to a friend of the show. My dad, my pops, in Brandon General Hospital right now, going through a couple of little things, and want to give him a shout out. Also, my twin brother, who's taking care of things with Shannon back there, appreciate it. So just a little selfish mention there to Dad. Get better, feel better. I will talk to you beyond just giving you a shout out in the podcast, but I just wanted to
cheap bastard. You come on.
I had to wait until after 6 o'clock to phone him last night because of the lower long distance rates.
Oh, did you have a party line at your house too?
We did at the lake. We did at Lake Metagosh. Yeah, and you get be able to pick it up and listen to other people's conversations.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Party lines and waiting until after 6 o'clock to phone long distance because it's cheaper.
Yeah,
that is living in rural Western Canada for sure.
And now everybody's just got WhatsApp numbers. They don't even have phone numbers. They just have WhatsApp numbers, and they just internet call, and nobody knows what it means to have to dance around challenges to communicate. So, Pops, anyway, Brandon General taking good care of you, and hopefully get you back home soon.
Get well soon.
We'll talk to everybody next time on 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon.